everyone. Good afternoon. Again, my name is Roy, and I am the sales manager of Service First Realty and the Sierra Vista home selling team. I'm here with my friend Shantel Williams. She is a loan officer with Loan Depot. Lending and borrowing is incredibly important to the home buying process. And the relationship between the real estate agent and the lender is an incredibly important dynamic during the home buying process. And I wanted to take a moment to sit down with Shantel and just ask a few questions about the relationship between the two professionals, the lender and the real estate agent. Before I ask the questions though, Shantel, I'd like to share something with you. Now this is an email that one of my sales agents received from one of her clients' lenders.
Okay.
And let me read the email to you right quick. It says, calling my boss, I'm going to leave the name out, will not increase the speed of my performance. It says, you agents, notice that you agents, think that we lenders have all the time in the world. Our job isn't just showing a property or two, sending a contract for signatures, maybe going through an inspection with a client, doing a final walkthrough, and taking the cash to the bank, all along making more money than anyone else in the transaction. Our job is so much more complicated and so much more important than yours. Now that is an email from a lender to my sales agent. Now what is your initial opinions about that one email from that lender?
I find it shocking. First and foremost, I find it very assuming.
Yes.
To think that us as lenders have a harder job than you do as the realtor.
Yes.
Let's start with the fact that you bring us our business.
Thank you.
You're bringing us our business, and that makes for a relationship that's built on a lot of trust, so that you can rest assured you would never receive an email from me like that.
Wow. Well, thank you, Shantel.
You're welcome. LSUs are a very important part of the transaction, keeps all the parties involved and informed.
Right.
This is something that should be totally unacceptable.
Totally unacceptable. I completely agree. This YouTube channel is dedicated to providing information for home buyers and home sellers, and I think the general public, the home buyer, home seller, doesn't really understand that there's three processes running simultaneously together during the purchase or the sale of a home. There is the home buying process, there's the process of the actual transaction, the contract between the buyer and seller. There's also an escrow process of the activities that the escrow officer does. And then there is the loan process. Where the borrower, the buyer, will fill out an application, and the loan officer and processor will take them through that.
Correct.
There's a lot of communication between the realtor and the lender, and we talk just a little bit about that communication.
Well, the communication definitely starts, like you said, at the very beginning of the process. And that's where you educate your buyers that it's important to see a lender.
Yes.
And become pre-approved, so that you're not running around with that easy job of yours,
Right.
showing houses to prospective buyers that may not be qualified.
Right.
They may fit into a certain program that they didn't otherwise know about.
Right.
So sitting down with the lender and having that pre-approval and the application taken is definitely an important first step. It gives you peace of mind.
Yes.
It actually can enlighten the buyer. They may be stuck, in a certain purchase price in their mind, but that doesn't relate to payment.
Right.
So I try to educate them on the difference between where do you want to be with your monthly payment. Sometimes that means they can go higher. Sometimes that means their expectations are too high and they go lower.
So what you're telling me is the more that we can communicate, the agent with the loan officer, the more we communicate, the better we as realtors can help the buyer.
Correct.
Because if you're telling us something about the borrower, the buyer, as far as because we know their search criteria, we know that they're looking for, say for example, a 3-bedroom, 2-bath house with a large fenced-in backyard. But those types of properties range in all values, all prices. But when you tell us a little bit more about their ability to buy, I guess, or their range, we can really help the buyer narrow in on the property that's
Most suited for them.
most
yeah.
suited for them. We can help them find one that they love in their own price range based on their borrowing criteria. And another topic was the program. You mentioned just briefly about loan programs. I think the more we communicate as agent and our realtor and lender, and we understand the programs that the loan officer may be offering or the loan company may be offering, that's another helpful piece of information that we could help the buyer qualify for this.
And it's actually something I could actually provide to you in like a flyer format.
Right.
Because you definitely don't need to know everything I know,
Right.
right, as a lender. So it's easier for you to push that back on me with your buyers. But I can at least educate you and your team enough to know, like a little snippet.
Okay.
This is VA, this is FHA,
Right.
this is USDA.
Right.
We have down payment assistance programs. It falls in line with certain credit score,
Right.
debt ratio.
Right.
So each program, one person might fit 3 or 4 of them,
Right.
but one person might only fit one.
Right.
So that's where, the professionalism and being a licensed loan officer comes into play as opposed to, writing loans at a bank.
Right.
Where they're very limited
Oh,
in the scale of
absolutely.
what they can do. So, yeah, it'd be easy to provide your agents with something that's just more of a visual, like a quick look. But you're obviously not gonna know how that fits your buyer until they sit down with me and do an application.
Right. And the last point that I'd like to talk about just quickly, integrity and trust. This is something that you, Shantel, mentioned quite often in our conversations, and what it's really important to you are those two character traits or those two values. I know, having worked with you through many transactions, that you are a person of high integrity and trustworthiness.
Thank you.
And how do you think that integrity and trust works in a relationship between a lender and realtor?
Well, it starts with you having the trust in me, because you have to trust that when you have a buyer and you say, oh, I've got this great lender, she's my #1 preferred, she's going to take great care of you. You're trusting that I'm going to actually follow through with that, right? Because
Right.
it's your reputation, ultimately, that's on the
Right.
line. So I think the trust actually goes more flow from you to me.
Okay.
I mean, I trust that you're a good person
Yeah.
and that you're working hard out there for your agents, you know what I mean? That's my trust. I don't necessarily need the same trust of who you're going to bring to me.
Right.
It's just a matter of a good relationship
Well,
with
thank-
respect for each other, and I love that you believe in me.
Thank you,
to take care
Shantel.
of them.
Thank you, Shantel.
You're welcome.
I've been talking with Shantel Williams. She is a loan officer with Loan Depot here in Sierra Vista, Arizona. This is a great conversation. The loan process is so vitally important to the home buying and home selling process that I'd like to spend a lot more time with Shantel, but for the time being, we've run out of time today. So if you would like more information from Shantel, I can put the link to her website below. I can give you her contact information below. And if you like these videos, please subscribe. Again, my name is Roy. I'm the sales manager of Service First Realty and the Sierra Vista Home Selling Team. Thank you for joining us today, and I look forward to seeing you in the next video.